This is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 6 of
Pero Let Me Tell You.
So I am here today literally sitting outside of Cow Bakery aquí in Coral Way because we're about to talk to the creators of a play that honestly requires that you be in the heart of Wichete. I mean, let's be quite honest. I am here welcoming back to the show Robby Ramos.
Happy
Thank you
to
for
be
coming
here,
back. Bro. And I'm also welcoming Gabriel Bonilla, both of whom have come together to create the play The Walls Have Ears. And I think, Gabriel, you're the director.
Yep.
And you're the talent. You're the
writer,
the
producer,
the usher, right? Just everything else that's left. Yeah. Now, I remember when you were here last time, Robby. You did mention that you were writing the play, and that I think you had already done some production of it in New York. I think. By then. Yeah. And I know you did some in Los Angeles. So, Gabriel, were you part of it from that beginning as well, or?
I was part of.
Like, where did you? How did this?
I'll let Robby start because I joined in later. But Robby started like 2015. So.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So I had a theater company in New York that we did a bunch of experimental weird theater, which is how you learn to act. Man.
Well, that's what you do in a black box.
Exactly, dude. A bunch of weird experimental theater, and I had a woman there, a Venezuelan director, who kind of like pushed me to write this thing. I had always talked about like I wanted to write this play about my grandfather, what he went through. So I started writing, man, and within a year we started putting it on its feet. Like the things that I was writing, meaning we started to workshop it, like kind of rehearse it with the theater company that I had. We did our first workshop, I think, in 2016.
Okay.
Then we did our second workshop in 2017, and then came to do Amparo in Miami.
Which Gabriel's wearing a shirt right now, a bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to represent.
Yeah, he's representing hard, dude. And and we met there formally because actually, which is a funny story, Gabe had wanted to audition for one of the workshops we did in New York.
I saw a call on Backstage, which is a website that actors use for auditions.
Yeah.
And I saw this thing about Cuba, New York, and I said, okay, New York, I'm super down to go up there. Let's,
but you were down here and
I was here and I saw the casting. Okay. I was like looking for castings in New York, in LA, wherever.
And I
saw looking for Cuban male, tal y tal, and I said, of course. So I reached out through Backstage, and I think we exchanged a few messages.
We did, dude.
But, I couldn't get up to New York, and the timing just wasn't, so we're like, and it just, that ended at that. And I think it was like first day or second day of rehearsal for Amparo, where we put two and two together, and we were like, you were the guy, we were talking to each other on the road.
That's right.
Because you were both part of Amparo.
Yeah,
we were both part
from its inception.
Yeah. And then in 2020, when the pandemic happened, I was down here in Miami. We put together like a writers group with actors, where basically we were just reading new work, like whatever work the actors were writing, that's what we were reading.
So like a salon.
Yeah, exactly.
If we want to get pretentious and fancy, right?
Yeah, right.
Somebody's sala.
Exactly. Exactly.
Someone's sala.
With a peacock chair, yes.
Yeah. Or on a batting cage, like we had a batting cage that, like a batting cage area where we would read whatever. So, Gabe was in those meetings, and we read the play, and it was actually it was your idea, right, to start doing the reading. So it was inspiring to me anyway. These are the stories that I grew up on. These are, my grandfather had a hand in something like this as well, and so I read this story and I was like, man, we're in the thick of it for where this story will flourish. So I said, Robby, let's just do a read. Let's just see what happens. And at the time, to make another long story short, it was during the
Feel free to make it long. I can always edit down. I can't edit up.
It was during the July 11th protests. And my girlfriend's brother was still in Cuba, and the island was going dark because the government was shutting down the power. They just and so the only way to keep in contact was if you had una recarga, so if you had data plan. So my girlfriend was like, hey, I need to send my brother a recarga, and he's got a couple friends that need it too, so I'm gonna help him out. And it turned out, from helping him and a couple friends in Cuba to helping. I think we did over 11,000 families. We ended up using this as a fundraiser, and it was like $28,000. Vice News came and did a thing at our house, and like it was insane. We didn't think it was gonna blow up to what it did, and so we were, it was called Recharge Cuba, and we were keeping them connected to their families and videos. The videos that I got to my phone. Well, I mean, like the things. It was just.
I will say though, I'm going to be completely flippant here for a second. Congrats on getting Vice to come cover something anti-Cuba.
Oh yeah,
because I like Vice, pero son medio comunista. Like, I mean,
we were a little worried as to how they were going to spin it.
Yeah, they're un poco rosado, like let's say.
The person who came was very true to what
a journalist.
Was. No, very true.
I'm saying they came very like. Unbiased.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Unbiased, and if I will say, a little leaning towards us.
Okay.
To really tell the story. There were things where she was like, "I can't get this to fly, so let's spin it this way if you want to tell this message," kind of thing. And it was very.
She worked with you.
Very helpful. Yeah. But anyway, it became like oh yeah, let's come together and work on this thing, and raise some money for the thing, and let's see how many people come out to the show. And we did it at Cuba Ocho in Little Havana.
That's right.
And it was packed, man. It was. We were kind of just. We were excited and kind of blown away at how many people show up to a reading, because I mean, it
was like a Tuesday or something.
It was like a table read, right?
Yeah. We had little music stands, and I mean, and of course, Havana Club has always, through Amparo, we've built a nice relationship with them, and so Gio,
Chat Chow,
friend of the show,
he was like, man, of course I'll help you guys out. Let's make some cocktails. Let's turn this into a little thing. It just got some life of its own, and that same happened twice in Miami, then happened in LA, and then here we are.
So, for those of the listeners who are just kind of tuning in for the first time, what would you say? Because the Walls Have Ears is going to start this weekend, the weekend of April 7th at and I'm going to get it right, I promise, the Westchester Cultural Arts Center.
Yeah, dude.
Or to be more colloquial and local, ahí in Tropical Park, caballero.
Right there,
it's right there, ahí en la 40. What is the play about? Like, again, we don't want to give too much away because we do want people to come and see it. But you're saying it's the experience of your grandfather, and so I'm assuming it's based in fact to a degree, but with some dramatic license taken.
Exactly. So basically, what I say is that I was inspired by what my grandfather went through to write this story. I've fictionalized a lot of things, but there's also many things in it that are true stories. Whether it's something that happened to my mom, something that happened to my father, something that happened to my grandfather, my grandmother. I mean, like, I'm really throwing in like all these personal stories and mishmashing them into this fictionalized story. I also took a lot of like speeches from Castro and put them into the storyline.
Also, it's historical accuracy.
Oh, there's accuracy.
Too.
Yes, okay. Big time, man. Through these fictionalized characters, And basically what it is, it's a warden of a Cuban prison who pits a family against each other and answers their fate live on an American radio station. That's our little log line for the show. And what it is you have these two brothers who are on opposite sides of the political spectrum. One is a revolutionary soldier, and one is a political prisoner.
And this is taking place in the height of the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, just to get to be exact, October 23rd, 1962.
So let's make it even more tense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And again, taking from real life
right.
things. Yeah. We have the Kennedy speech in there. I mean, it's like it's based in historical fact. And that's kind of where the play takes off from. And then, there's this American radio host in it who brings a lot of the humor, I think, to the play. There's a lot of humor even in the prison, right,
okay,
Gabe?
I'm kind of glad to hear that, because it sounds very heavy.
No, it is heavy,
as it should be, but
it is
some levity here and there.
Listen, it's heavy, and you're going to need a drink after the show, which is why it's good we have Havana Club there, and we have Yoli Mayor for the opening, and we're looking to get other like we want to bring in Ping Pong Pollo, bro.
For the record, he brought it up. I didn't.
Yeah.
No, don't look self-serving over here.
It was me. But we want to bring in like people from the community, because we want the after show to be like a social gathering. Because the show is heavy, it ends heavy, but it's got a lot of humor in it. I'll let Gabe explain a little more, because I don't want to seem like I'm the writer saying that it's got humor in it. Like Gabe.
No, it does, and it puts you in a weird place where you don't know if you should laugh or not. And
right.
So we just had a read for this recently at the Gibson Room, and there was one guy in the front who just kept laughing and laughing and laughing, and he was laughing at all the right parts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, he wasn't being disrespectful.
No, he wasn't being
No.
disrespectful at all. But you could tell that some people were like, should we be laughing too? Is it okay to laugh? And it's like, I mean, that's what this kind of story does. It's like, it's funny in all the right and wrong ways. And at the end of it, like Robby says, it's heavy, and we're not going to give away what happens. But I think you go through all the emotions in the play. You really do. You experience it all. And I think that's what's kind of the key of this thing is that you're not just hitting you on the head with this Cuban story, sad Cuban story.
And I said this, we did Banco podcast. I don't know if it's a rival, dude. Are they rivals?
No. We don't have rivals. The only rivals we have are people we don't talk about.
So we did that, right? We did their podcast, and I mentioned like, dude, I like Tarantino. I like David Mamet, Aaron Sorkin. Like, I like these writers who make stories exciting and cool and fun to listen to and watch. I don't like stories that are too bogged down and like, we take ourselves so seriously. So there's a lot of that thrown in there where like we're going back and forth between this prison and this jail, and I'm doing it so to kind of keep you, hey, I'm telling you a story, and there are parts that are meant to just be entertaining.
There's some absurdity.
There's
some absurdity and some stylized things.
Yeah.
And
well, if you're talking about the Castros, there has to be some absurdity in there.
Yeah,
I mean, let's face it. You got to put that spin in there. I mentioned, you guys mentioned Amparo. I mentioned you're wearing the Amparo shirt, and one of the things that this is not a sturdy table we're on. It's a story of true human spirit on the Amparo shirt, and I wonder, though, because, obviously it's very easy, I think, to say, like, oh, well, Amparo does well here in Miami because it's the Cuban story, right? You guys are going to do great. I have no doubt in my mind because, again, it's a Cuban story in Miami. But I think there's more to it than that. I think that, and again, I'm lifting it from the Amparo just because the shirt's in front of me, not because I'm being, cheap. But if you write a story about the human spirit, about humanity, then people will connect to it. And part of humanity is laughing at inappropriate parts. It's that gallows humor. It's that finding the absurdity so that you can get through to the next moment. I mean, you mentioned that it's two brothers on opposite sides of the political, spectrum in Cuba. That happened in many families. Like, it happened in my family. My grandmother, I think it was her youngest brother, was the part of the revolution. He was pro the revolution, etc. They never stopped being siblings. They never stopped loving each other, but that tore them apart in that way of, this is not for me, I have to leave. Well, this is for me, and I'm going to stay. And it doesn't matter how strong the bond is. It speaks to just how these outside forces can come in and just tear shit apart. And that's, I mean, in this case, we're talking about the revolution in Cuba, but it could be anything. And I think that's something that you guys probably captured. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, you are.
In that route?
And you mentioned, like, the people of that generation. That's happening now in this generation, which is what makes this play, I think, relevant to now even. It's like, how many people are on opposite sides of the political spectrum right now in America? And I think that
doesn't happen. We all get along in the U.S. Yeah. We're all on the same side.
That is the heart of the play, is like that family should always trump ideology. You know what I mean? Like we shouldn't get so wrapped up into these political groups or teams to the point where we're separating from people that we love, And the play is at its crux is that it's examining what is family and how do we deal with it in a way that preserves it and doesn't tear it apart,
Because you were the director and you're the writer, you're basing this off of your family, obviously, so there's a lot of personal touch to it. Earlier you were talking about, your girlfriend's brother is still in Cuba, so he was able to. Oh, he's here now.
Not even a year. It's been.
Oh, okay, pero bueno, it's recién. So in other words, when you're speaking of people who are living it, whereas you're coming at it from a historical lived experience of your family, you might be coming at it from somebody who literally was just there, right? How did that affect the way that you approached directing it? And how did you kind of approach the way he directed it? Because again, you're writing, it's not a fictional story, right? There's certain elements that I'm sure you were probably like, no, this is what happened to my grandfather, or this is what happened to my grandfather's friend. but maybe you came at it and you said, no, I get that, not disrespectful, but it hurts the flow of the staging or something. Like, how did you guys kind of?
I mean, to be honest, it's been pretty easy for us working together from the get, and I think the play has a very specific rhythm that it's kind of like just let the play do its thing. The words speak for themselves, and so if you really stay true to the play itself, it's honestly not a hard play to direct. And then I gotta honor everything that Robby comes at me with, and so for me, I come at it and I'm like, I'm always looking. I was like, Robby, that's cool. Okay, I gotta. Yeah, Robby says it's cool. And I don't think I ever really took it from that perspective in terms of like having the influence of those kind of things. And I think we were always on the same page from the get. And there's moments where Robby will be like, you know what, I don't think this. And there's moments where I'm like, Robby, I think But for those are minor little hiccups throughout the play.
Because I know directors have a vision, but I would think it's very different when it's a vision about fictional characters versus something that's based on, the life of the person who, not just the writer, but who's also part of the play and who's also, an active role. Like, it's not like you wrote it and you said, here, go direct it, I'm going to go do something else.
Well, I had to beg him to be in it.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't want to. He didn't want to be in it, and I've seen it read a few times.
I've seen you act. Why? You are quite good. If not, you wouldn't be on the show the second time. Let's be honest.
Yeah. No, for me, it was more of the time commitment and just I'm overwhelmed, man. Like where you see me right now is at the peak of my ability to. I also have 2 daughters, and one of them is 2 years old, the other one's 5 months old. So having to juggle life with producing a play for the first time, with what else, man? With acting and then also, man, it's like the other actors are really good, dude. Like I can't phone it in. You know what I mean? I can't just show up and be like.
I don't think you're capable of phoning it in,
well,
man.
Yeah, no, I am, man. I can.
Not for a passion project like this.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Listen, we both went out and wanted to get the absolute best actors that we could find for this thing, because of the fact that I wanted to be that level of, great. Right. So I of course, man, I bring it because it's a passion.
Which is why I didn't want anybody else.
Because you knew.
Because I knew, and
because you're a good director.
I hope so.
You recognize what the play needs.
I've seen this thing read a few times, different pappos, and I mean, from day one for me, it was just a matter of how do I get him to see it without me having to beg for it.
¿Cómo le doy la vuelta? ¿Cómo le doy la vuelta? We've all been there. Now, you guys staged this. I know you mentioned in New York, staged also in Los Angeles, and now here in Miami. What would you say have been the biggest differences from? And I know you can only speak to Los Angeles, correct?
No, and Miami too. But
right. But what I was saying is, in terms of audience reaction, like New York versus LA versus the initial reads in Miami, what have you found has been differences and similarities in terms of audience reaction?
I'll tell you this: like when we did the 2 workshops in New York. There was a lot of people who weren't Cuban who went to see. I mean, basically, mostly everyone. And it's interesting to see how, depending on where you land on the political sides, you have different opinions about the play, but none of them are negative. And what I mean by that is, like, I think no matter what side of the political thing you're on, you leave there kind of asking questions and not being like, oh, this person was trying to persuade me on something that I don't want. Like I'm not trying to sit on. It's
not heavy-handed.
Yeah, bro. I'm trying to give everyone their fair shake, including the revolution. I want it to be a fair fight because that is the truth. If not, we'd be the victors every time, and that's not the case, right? They're still there. So it's like it's a fair fight, and it's a strong. It's a hard fight. So I want the play to symbolize that. And so in New York, the audiences were like. I don't know. They kind of saw it from this left view, right?
Okay.
There's a lot of people who sympathize with Che Guevara and Castro in New York.
We call those people wrong.
Exactly. And those motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
We call those motherfuckers out all the time on this show, so feel free.
They saw the play and they had, they had their opinions about it, but they left there not feeling like I hope they didn't leave there feeling like I had like made their side feel dumb or like that.
Okay.
Not giving it its fair shake. We did it in Miami, and of course, I mean, the emotional dude, like we're playing with house money here, dude.
Yeah.
The minute the play's about this thing, it's like people come ready to cry, bro. They come ready to experience this thing, which is a beautiful thing. That's what we shared in Amparo, dude. Like people would come to us after the show in Amparo and be crying, and then tell us their stories. And that was part of the beauty of doing it here. LA was similar to here, actually, right, Gabe?
Yeah, very similar.
There's a lot of Cubans in LA.
Yeah, no, I know. We found all the pockets when we've been to LA. Yeah, we find them.
We were writing the tales of what happened because I was in LA during the protests. I was filming something, and I felt so out of place when it happened. And I remember calling people in Miami, and I was like, I actually called Vicky and Vanessa, writer and director of Amparo. And I was like, guys, I'm in LA. I feel totally alone. I need to find some Cubans. I know this is happening. Like, I want to do something. What do I do?
And we always congregate. Where are we congregating?
And that's what happened. So she goes, call this guy, Jason Canela. I think you guys will hit it off. And he's trying to organize some Cubans. Yeah. It turns out, to make a long story short, we got together a group of like 100 and something Cuban Americans, mostly our generation, who didn't know that they were even in LA. Wait, I didn't know you were here. I didn't know there were so many of us. So we were writing this tale of all these Cubans who had just met. And when we did the read, a lot of them showed up. And then a lot of also, Greg, whoever showed up, and they were just like, I think everybody really took the story for what it was. And like Robby said, I think you get what you want out of the story, really. I mean, whatever side you sit on it, whatever you want to get from that, you're not gonna leave with a different opinion, I don't think. Because
that's interesting.
You know how that works, right? I mean, have you ever changed a comunita's mind? I mean, you tell me.
Dude, people went to Amparo.
I'm going to say probably not. But
yes, people went to Amparo and after the show, and it was low key, but we would be like, "Oh, this motherfucker, dude."
Yeah. Oh, straight up. They were
like you knew they were.
Yeah.
So
they came in with like a beret.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so it's hard, man, to kind of find that line. But I think when you're telling stories, unless you're truthful in that way, people start to kind of they tune you off, man. Because it's like, oh, why are you lying to me? Or why are you acting like my side doesn't have its,
That's an interesting point. And again, I can't wait to go see the play. I mean, you guys are going to be running through May, right? So it's just
May 14, yeah.
Hay tiempo de verlo, caballero. I don't want to hear de que I'm busy.
In English and Spanish, que no hablo español, que no hablo
right.
inglés.
You guys are doing Spanish language productions as well.
Yes,
Did you do the Spanish language production yourself, like the translations?
No, and we're working on that as we speak.
Progress.
I mean,
okay.
It's a collaboration with the
actors. With the actors. Yeah, so we got Susana Pérez, who do you know Susana Pérez?
I don't know her. No,
she was a massive star and is a massive star still here in Miami, but in Cuba she worked there for decades. She was a huge movie star in TV star in Cuba, and now she's here in Miami and she's playing the lead character, the warden of the prison. And then we have Hector Medina, brilliant actor, man. He was in Amparo. He's in a bunch of movies now, Lo Friki, Viva on Netflix. The guy is blowing up. We're counting on them. Diane Garriga, Ariel Texido.
Wow.
We're counting on these people to help us because they're all born in Cuba. All right. So that's part of the authenticity.
Fun fact: the American radio host is the American radio host for both casts. He's the only actor that is doing both, and he's English throughout because we're keeping it native speaking. So there will be subtitles in the Spanish play only for the American radio host.
Everything else,
the rest is Spanish language. Yeah.
That's brilliant that you're doing that, by the way, because my day job is I work in marketing, and a lot of times, I can tell when something has been quote unquote just translated versus what I like to say transcreated, which is when it's like, okay, no, I can't just take this sentence and do word for word. That's number one, that's not how people speak. You know what I mean? Because you always wind up screwing it up. So you got to take the essence of what's being said. So the fact that you guys have, native speakers who are really living the characters and being part of it, again, the authenticity, like y'all said.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of living the characters, do you know a little bit about the setup for the play at all? Which I'm super excited about.
In what sense? I've never been even inside that cultural arts center. So
it's a for the most part, it's a black box, right? But it's a pretty big black box, and when you have a black box, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You know, there are really no limits except for what the space can hold. But what I mean by that is that specifically, so for us, we're doing this in the rounds.
Ooh.
And not only in the round, there are different sections within the rounds where you can watch the show a couple different times and maybe see other things that someone else didn't see. So this play is always living from the moment you walk in.
So it's a little bit like, I could say like Amparo in the sense that like you're seeing like different things, or it's never the same play twice in a way. Depending on where you're sitting.
Right,
I mean,
right.
The same thing's always happening, but if you're sitting over here, you're seeing this character, futzing with something over here that you wouldn't see on the other side. Okay. Well, you guys have heard. You have to go multiple times. That's all there is to it. You have to go multiple times in English, en español. Do it in Creole también. Screw it. Why not?
That's why we did the English first. Was we wanted to get the younger generation in, and then be like, oh, I want to bring my parents for the Spanish. So
that's fair.
Double dipping there.
That's no. It's called being smart. That's what it is. It's called mi abuelo vino a este país para yo no pasar trabajo and to make money.
Were your parents? So you were born here?
I was born and raised in good old Huachete.
Same here. Huachete for life, baby.
Whereabouts?
On 82 and 40th, right next to Tropical Park.
This guy's been there. Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
Columbus. Columbus.
Okay.
I would have gone to Southwest.
Oh, he judged you, dude.
I did judge you.
He just
judged you.
I did judge you a little bit because I'm a Southwest alum. So I judged you a little bit.
I would have.
I know.
I would have been a Southwest kid if I didn't go to Columbus. But I'll say, man,
yo sabía que tenía pinta de private school.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's the eyebrows. Those are private school eyebrows. Those are private school.
Adelante to all my Columbus grads and students.
Private school boy, dude. Yeah, not us, bro.
No. We're the product of a public school education, for better or worse. For all that means.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hey, but no, sorry, I was gonna ask. You mentioned that you kind of give, I don't want to say equal time, but you're not walking in there heavy-handed saying like, this side was bad and blah, blah, like hitting you over the head with it. You try to present it in a fair way. Have you gotten any pushback from Miami audiences with that? Because again, Miami boy, Cuban American, born and raised, I know sometimes the older the generation gets, I cannot blame them for their trauma, they don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to hear that the other side had a valid point for this, even, and it may be true. Again, I haven't seen the play yet, so I don't know, but have you gotten pushback from people who are like, estaba buenísimo el play, pero la verdad que, vaya, nos fueron hijo puta bastante los comunistas, like something like that, where they feel like you had to, make them a little more mustache twirly.
And I think this is where I can, because Robby won't do it. This is where I can like praise Robby's writing. Is that it's not that you're being presented with two gifts and it's like they're both great. No, you're a fly on the wall. And so, if anybody leaves with that kind of opinion, it's more about the character, not so much the story.
Okay,
if
that's
that
what the actor brought to the
yeah. It's like I was the bad guy in Amparo, and always the show would end and they would come up to me and it was like, gotta be the private school, of course. And it was the same thing. It was like, I love but you, oh my, what you did to us, to lo otro, and that's kind of the same thing you leave here with. Like I said, you leave with the same feelings. You leave with what you want, and so
which is actually a great thing. If you're playing the villain and they come after you, afterwards and say that you were like tremendo hijo puta, like they hated you, you did your job.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be like playing Hitler and have somebody come by and be like, you were really nice. Like, no, maybe not. I didn't do a good job that night. If that's what they came away with.
And that happened in the read recently now at the Gibson room. Somebody came to Monica and was like, this was great, but man, you got to me. You really, really got to me. And that's where you get that. That's the closest we get to that, that feeling. But it's through the character. It's through what happens in the story.
Yeah. And when I say that we're giving everyone their fair shake, I don't mean that we're sugarcoating anything. We're like being very truthful to what those people did and what the revolution did. I mean, I'm not sugarcoating that at all. What I'm saying when I say that, I guess, is that they had their reasons for doing the atrocities that they did, and
well, yeah, because the beauty of any story, in my opinion, is the villain of a story cannot think they're the villain.
Correct.
Because we're all the hero of our own story, right? even if you are ultimately, history has proven, the villain of the story. Otherwise, what's the motivation? You know what I mean? It's not a person.
Exactly.
It's not a person.
Exactly,
so yeah, you have to go that
You hit
route.
it on the nose. Yeah. Our I guess, quote unquote, well, I'll say the antagonist of the story.
There we go. I love that word, antagonist, protagonist.
Instead of saying villain. She is nicknamed La Madre de la Revolución, and she is partly based on Celia Sanchez, who was like Castro's right-hand woman, let's say. And I do my best to paint her as a human being, as all of those people who did those things to our families were human beings, and they had ways of, in their own fucked up psychological way of justifying what they were doing. They were playing the hero in their story, many of these people. So I try to do that with Madre. And so yeah, I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to be like, oh, I'm on either side. It's like, no,
because it's definitely not that.
Yeah,
it's definitely not that.
Right. I mean, I feel like I've known you enough to know that you weren't going to be like pro Che Guevara in this play.
Not by any means.
But again, when we're talking, you're not trying to lecture to people. So
exactly.
they're not going to show up and just be like, ha ha ha, I am the evil communist.
Yes,
that.
Right.
That's not it either.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it, man.
So y'all mentioned it's in the round. What I love a theater in the round. I'm a theater nerd. I'm a theater geek. It's what I and there's a world out there where I've got two Tonys. It exists in the multiverse somewhere out there. It's not the one where I sing. That's a different one. But what did you find were some of the challenges with doing theater in the round, as opposed to just your traditional end stage setup? Or because a table read is one thing, right? It's just setting up. You put the little things in front, everybody reads, and then an end stage is just very linear. But what are the challenges?
There have been a few. Mainly, so one of the biggest ones was sightlines, because of the way that our designer designed the stage, which is brilliant, by the way. But it did present some problems because I don't want to give a lot away, but there are parts of the stage that are built into the audience, if that makes sense.
So like pathways or something like that?
No, not so much pathways. I mean, actual pieces of the stage, the audience is within like an arm's length of different parts of the show.
Okay.
So you're, we kept saying this was like an immersive thing, but in the sense that you are immersed into this day, October 23rd, 1962. You are really immersed into the prison.
You're in the prison.
You're there.
You're in the prison.
You're there. And because there's three different sections. I can say this part, right?
Yeah.
So there's no left or right depending on where you're sitting at, but the center of what we're going to call the stage is the office within the prison, right? And then to the left and right is the radio station in the U.S. and an interrogation room. And the radio station is built into part of the audience, and the interrogation room is also built into part of the audience. And then we have audience on these sides also circling the office. So no matter where you're at, you're there. And so because the actors really don't get off stage, if lights come up somewhere else, the rest of the play keeps breathing. And so how do we live that life without losing, attention, and how do I get these guys who have a whole scene happening over here to still be able to see clearly 2 scenes over? There has been, yeah.
Not problems, challenges.
Challenges.
There have
been
it's my favorite word.
Yeah,
it's my favorite word.
But it's been
Everyone's
fun.
like, it's a challenge.
It's been fun.
It's a challenge. We will overcome it. We will move forward.
Dude, and here's the thing, Ish. Like, when we took this on, bro, and we both kind of hype each other up on different times whenever the other one is like, bro, what the fuck did we get into? You know exactly.
You need that. You gotta have that hype person.
Yes, but we decided to just really go for it, bro. To risk it. Like, if we're gonna do this play, let's not play it safe by being like, oh, we're gonna do a normal proscenium stage where the audience is here and the play is there. We know exactly where the actors are gonna go, and it's gonna make perfect sense to everybody. I think we made a real decision to take risks, to be like, you know what? Some of this shit, you might not fucking see that person over there exactly, that actor or whatever, but it's in your face, dude. It's fucking...
The whole thing has been a risk. Even from, I don't know if you know that there's a series of paintings that will be...
oh, no.
traveling with the play.
Kiki Valdez.
Yeah.
No, I don't know him, but
you should have him on, man. He's cool. But he's doing a series of paintings that are inspired by the play. They're going to be in the lobby of the Westchester Cultural Arts Center.
This is a whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. So but again, how are you going to tie that into the risk taking of it?
Well, I don't want to get into those specifics now, but you know what we're going through now.
Man.
With that whole thing.
Yeah,
so it's been one big risk.
Look, the paintings that he's made are a little bit on the controversial side, and that is part of the whole idea.
It really is literally part of the play. I don't know how to explain that without giving too much away, but it is literally part of the play.
You've explained enough that people are piqued the curiosity, and now they will. If they were already thinking of going, now they will definitely. It's a little additional.
Yeah, man, exactly, dude. So we're taking risks, bro.
But this is, and I hope you take this as the compliment that I mean it. This is the market to take that risk in. This is the city to do it in, because this is already a story where the audience is going to follow you. They are already invested. We talk a lot about on this show representation, and so this is an audience that already wants to see their story get told authentically by people who understand what that means. So if you already know on some level that, like, okay, they're going to trust me with this story, how do I now push it further? Because there's already that inherent trust, because you guys are Cuban Americans, so they know, you're coming from a place of experience to a degree. All right, cool. Now let's crank it to 11. Let's take it to the next level.
Right, dude. You just got me hyped with that. You did.
It's what I do. I'm also known as being a hype person.
You're
if you
also...
need one, I'm just a DM away, as you know. Or an email if you can't get to Instagram. It's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But I mean, again, I can't say enough how proud I am of you guys for doing this. I think, number one, like I said, we're all about representation, and the one thing we pride ourselves on this show about doing is always being like, guys, being Cuban is not the same as being Puerto Rican, as being Dominican, as being Mexican. As we all have our unique stories to tell. So anytime anyone makes that decision to tell our story, we're there. Like, we are there. We are proud. We are ringing the bell. We will support it because, again, we need to tell our stories. We can't rely on other people to do it for us. And a lot of people will be like, no, because one day I'm going to write, and one day I'm going to do, and one day, you know what? But you guys did the thing, like Angela Bassett. You did the thing, and that's fucking commendable. Because it's one thing to even just write a play. It's another thing to find somebody crazy enough to go with you on this journey, and say, no, let's actually make this happen.
Yeah, man.
And then on top of that, to do it in the city where you're both from, where everybody's going to have an extra special eye on it, because if you fudge something up here, a fact, they will call you. Our people will call you on it afterwards. They'll be like, "Coño, está buenísimo, pero tú sabes, tú dijiste esto." Y bueno, no era así, era asado, and they will. 100%. So that takes balls in and of itself, and I commend you both for that, because again, it's not everybody who can just mount a play.
Dude, and what you said was true, man. Like, you can have an idea of something you want to do, and especially in our business, but unless you have people that are crazy enough to jump on board and the way Gabe's been attacking it, man, it's like he's taking it as personal as I am, and without that, it wouldn't have happened at all.
Yeah.
So to have that, man, is a blessing, dude.
Even if he went to Columbus.
We love him anyways.
It's okay. He's from Wichete, so that means he knows.
It's fine.
He's still one of us. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Wichete for life.
Wichete for life. That there you go. That's it. We're just gonna go stand now next to the sign across the street that says "Entering Westchester."
Dude, that's so true, bro. There's legit a sign right there.
And
bro.
now that I'm here for this, I'm staying at my parents, and the same house I grew up in my entire life. So Westchester.
Wow,
for
bro.
life. And
Homegrown.
It's a hop and a skip away from the theater.
So you are like immersed again.
I am.
We are
I'm doing the whole immersive thing.
He's almost method at this point.
He is, dude.
To this degree. It's like Marlon Brando will be other.
This guy, dude.
So where can our listeners find more information about the play? I know it has an Instagram, right?
At The Walls Play.
At The Walls Play.
And thewallsplay.com. It's got all the info there and tickets and all that jazz. It's Thursday through Sunday, April 7th through May 14th. 3 weeks in English, 3 weeks in Spanish. Anything else, Gabe?
I mean, we should be having some like really cool content coming soon from opening night. Some stuff that we want to share, little snippets that we can share.
Yeah, I'm actually very upset that we can't go to the opening night.
When are you going to come see us?
Well, I don't know when we're going to go see you, but I would love to go to the opening night, but we have a pop-up. So it's like, I can't get out of that, I got to make that money.
You can still join us. This is another thing too, is that, so for opening night, we're also selling separate tickets if you just want to come party with us after. And your ticket includes a cocktail. It includes performance by Yoli. That whole.
You don't have to sell me on it. It's just that our pop up starts at 6 p.m. and it ends at like 10 o'clock. Y está in West Kendall.
Yeah, we'll be there all night.
So that's the only reason that I'm not gonna make any promises about anything.
We'll wait for you.
We're gonna go see the show. We're gonna go see the show at some point. But opening night, and then you guys are horrible because you keep adding things, adding really cool shit to it.
Yeah, you're right.
It's Yoli Mayor. It's Gio's gonna be there with drinks. Fulano's gonna be there. And I'm like, okay, well, ya ahorita Celia Cruz gonna come back from the grave. Like that's all you need. Like shit.
We'll get a hologram.
Seriously, lo único que falta. You guys keep adding cool shit.
So we plan to keep adding cool shit to all the other Saturdays.
Okay, all right.
If this goes as great as we think it will, we're gonna keep.
I already have FOMO, and it hasn't even happened yet.
Well, I mean, that's
the marketing plan. Is FOMO.
So good job is what I'm hearing. You guys have done a fantastic job. But Gabe, Robby, thank you guys again for stopping by. I mean, well, we've got croquetas in front of us, so I know we're gonna at least another little time here just hanging out. Pero again, I'm not blowing smoke up y'all's ass. Super proud. Cannot wait to see the production. You're telling our story and you're making us proud. And for that, on behalf of me and DJ, even though he's not here, I just want to say thank you so damn much for that.
Thank you.
Like that is
man.
No tiene palabra. The gratitude that we have for you guys doing that.
Thank you, brother, and thanks for having me on again, bro. This was fun, man.
First timer, like a Disney pin, like a first timer. You know what I mean?
I think I have a sticker I can give you if that maybe. But come back whenever you want, Gabe. Like shit, That's
Gabe's doing a bunch of cool shit, man, and he's doing a bunch of acting stuff too, which is all exciting and again, dude, risk taking, bro.
That's what you gotta do. I mean, now I know. Now we've met, so I will never stop bothering you. Now that's just what is. Like we're gonna follow you on Instagram. We're gonna be commenting on everything, sending you random ass DMs about So be careful what you wish for.
Catch me while I'm still in Wetchete, right here down the street.
Bueno, okay. Hasta mayo, entonces.
Hasta mayo. 12 de mayo, yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you,
bro.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.